Commission members, Commission secretary, directors and deputy directors, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year to you all. On behalf of the Commission this morning, management and staff, I welcome you to our very first activity for the year 2023 and wish you all again a blissful and prosperous New Year. Friends from the media, today, 7th of January 2023, marks exactly 30 years since the inauguration of the Fourth Republic. That is to say, on this same date, 30 years ago, the 1992 Constitution became a part of the democratic governance of our country. And that is the essence of observing Constitution Day, to commemorate the foundation of our democracy. Significantly, 3 decades of constitutional rule in Ghana makes it imperative for the NCC to be more strategic in the delivery of our constitutional and legislative mandate. In that regard, the Commission's operations during this year, will focus on addressing issues pertaining to complacency and apathy. Therefore, activities will carefully address deficits confronting our democratic trajectory and also affirm the consolidation of the gains made so far. With this background, I am happy to announce to you that the Commission's theme for 2023 is 30 years of consolidating constitutional democracy, building national cohesion through civic education and participation in local governance. This year is particularly remarkable for us here at NCCE because 30 years of the 1992 Constitution also means 30 years of NCCE. The year represents a double celebration for us, as well as a heightened sense of responsibility that comes with the celebration. In the coming weeks, we will unveil all the activities we will be undertaking, including collaborations with other institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, the last 30 years represents an unprecedented period of political stability in Ghana. I think we can all agree on that. None of our previous efforts at multi-party democracy lasted anywhere near 3 decades. The 1969 and 1979 constitutions lasted approximately 2.5 years, whereas multi-party democracy was removed altogether from the 1960 constitution only after 4 years. Thus, prior to the advent of the 1992 constitution, there was really no track record to suggest that the country could be democratic for this long. Moreover, there are very few examples of countries on our continent in the course. According to political scientists, democratic consolidation is said to have occurred when there are 2 turnovers from one political party to another. As things stand here in Ghana, we are well into the 3rd turnover in the Fourth Republic. So clearly, we have done well, on this front at least. Our elections have always been intense. On some occasions, the results have been contended by parties, but in general, the winners have been gracious and losing sides have either accepted results or used constitutional means to challenge the results. With this, the positive reviews our democracy receives on the continent and beyond, we can say are well deserved. It cannot be denied that on the whole, there has been improvement in Ghana's economic performance in the last 30 years of multi-party democracy as compared to the 30 years prior to 1993. According to World Bank data, our GDP has grown from approximately 6 billion to almost 77 billion over the period. With the exception of 2020, economic growth has been steady. In fact, within the 30 years prior to the promulgation of the 1992 Constitution, there were years of economic decline, but not in the years after, in the years of the Fourth Republic. With this, among other things, it cannot be credibly argued that Ghanaians have not benefited economically from return to democracy. Our 1992 Constitution can therefore be described as placing us on the right path towards meeting the goals stated in our Constitution's preamble. That is, to create a Ghana in which, and I quote, blessings of liberty, equality of opportunity, and prosperity are increasingly made available to all. Fortunately, an overwhelming majority of Ghanaians acknowledge the superiority of democracy over other forms of governance, and in most surveys, reject single-party and military rule as viable alternatives to our democracy, contrary to what you hear on social media. Ladies and gentlemen, in spite of this, it is clear that we have a long way to go on our political and economic journey. We have all observed that there is room to improve and strengthen our Constitution. I believe we can have this discussion at an appropriate time. The NCC and many other organizations have undertaken a number of activities designed to discuss these weaknesses and suggest areas of reform. It is, however, important to note that debating the weaknesses of our Constitution does not mean that our democracy is fundamentally flawed and should therefore be jettisoned. Let us all be reminded that democracy is a journey, not an event. A continuous commitment to democratic ideals is required for its successful implementation. Democracy is the most difficult form of government to sustain, but a democracy where citizens actively participate in governance provides the best chance to build a just society. An indolent and disengaged citizenry cannot sustain a democracy. It is only in dictatorships that citizens are expected and indeed encouraged to be passive. To maintain a successful democracy, all citizens must be fully engaged at all times. This means that our media, our youth, the judicial system, academics, civil society, private sector, security services, market women, traditional authorities, and every other citizenship category must stay engaged and interested in ensuring that our democracy is sustained and our Constitution is complied with. Ladies and gentlemen, on occasions as auspicious as this, we must not only take stock of our journey so far, but must also paint a picture of the future we desire. We must ask ourselves hard questions about the current state of our democracy and our democratic culture. Are we really where we want to be 30 years down the line? Are we on a sustainable democratic path? What threats do we face and how do we neutralize those threats? These and many more are questions we need to ask and answer as citizens. It is our view, however, that one of the biggest threats we face today, 30 years into the Fourth Republic, is the increasing monetization of politics, resulting in a very expensive and somewhat unattractive democracy. From allegations and testimonies of vote buying at all levels of internal political party elections to the normalizing of demand by the electorate for direct financial and material benefits from elected officials, not to speak of the astronomical cost of running for any political office in Ghana today. This phenomenon creates an atmosphere of governance for sale and fuels a culture of deepening corruption, which, among other things, contributes to increasing vulnerability of the state to violent extremism. As we all know, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana is currently facing a very real existential threat as terrorists who have made significant territorial gains in the countries of the Sahel are looking to expand to the coastal countries of West Africa. The epicenter of this threat we face as a country is our northern border. NCC has already launched the Preventing and Containing Violence Extremism Project and will be working in several districts in the 5 northern regions as well as Oti and Bono in the coming months. This project is focused on creating awareness of the threat and educating citizens on how to identify and report potential threats in their communities. Monetization of our democracy has contributed significantly to our current vulnerability and must be put to a stop. Another serious threat to our democracy and even to our very existence is the wanton destruction of our environment, primarily through galamsey, but also through deforestation. If we carry on with illegal mining as we are doing now, we will very soon not be too far from the debilitating wars fought in Sierra Leone and Liberia in the 90s. Those wars were fueled partly by illegal mining through the warlords who were linked to the miners. Galamsey will eventually lead to a breakdown of law and order, proliferation of arms, and emergence of warlords, and total breakdown of society. Ladies and gentlemen, any form of economic decline, such as we have experienced in the post-COVID period that culminated in severe economic turbulence in 2022, poses a very serious threat to our democracy. When, as a result of economic hardship, citizens begin to feel that the dividends of democracy have eluded them, they are inclined to resort to non-democratic means of survival and self-expression. Government must therefore do whatever it can and within its power to ensure that the economic situation continues to improve to the path of robust growth. Indeed, it is our hope that the economic difficulties of 2022 are firmly behind us. Other things that will represent a threat to our democracy are things like loss of public confidence in state institutions due to perceptions of compromise or unfairness, proliferation of dangerous fake news, political and sometimes religious incitement, and abuse of freedom of speech. These are some of the threats that also face our democracy today. Now to power and politics. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can all agree that the nascent stages of the 2024 election cycle, that we are in the nascent stages of the 2024 election cycle. The season is now open. We take this opportunity to congratulate the newly elected executives of the two major political parties, NDC and NPP. It is our hope that all actors in the political arena, including journalists, foot soldiers, bloggers, presenters, politicians, family members, party members, etc., will commit to a campaign devoid of suggestive ill intent, insults, and incendiary language. Dear political actor, please hear our plea from NCCE. Challenge yourself to be a part of the solution and not the problem. Fellow citizens, it is our duty to punish politicians who employ insults, intimidation, and violence in their quest for power and position. Let us deny them what they seek so they will learn their lesson. From now till December 2024 and beyond, not a single drop of blood should be shed for political gain. No politician, and I mean no politician, is worth it. By all means, actively participate in the election process, but do not be lured into illegal activities. We urge citizens to familiarize themselves with the Public Order Act 491, as well as Vigilantism and Related Offences Act 999, to understand the consequences of political misconduct. Later this year, district-level elections will be held. Our record is that on average, participation in district-level elections is rather poor, with a turnout usually around 30%. It is our hope that this time round, Ghanaians will turn out massively to elect assembly members and unit committee members and actively hold them accountable in the period between elections. Finally, as we pat our backs for the success in the last 30 years, let us also look forward to ensuring that the next 30 years will be even more progressive, productive, and more successful than the past 30 years we are celebrating. Ladies and gentlemen, as we commemorate the 30-year celebration, NCC calls on Ghanaians to participate actively in governance and continue to uphold the 1992 Constitution as the supreme law of Ghana until any amendments are made where necessary. Also, to sustain peace and promote national cohesion, the Commission urges Ghanaians to unite to consolidate our goals towards growth. The Commission's commitment to the common goal of educating all citizens in every nook and cranny of the country will foster inclusion, especially with the vulnerable groups in society, and also pass down Ghanaian values such as patriotism, hard work, honesty, respect for the rights and freedom of others, down to the entire population. Championing this cause will promote a sense of belonging among the people, especially at the grassroots level. Ladies and gentlemen, we are one people, one nation with a common destiny. Our role as citizens of Ghana is to live up to our responsibilities and promote the principle and dictates of the 1992 Constitution, and also contribute meaningfully to the democratic development of our country, Ghana. The Commission reiterates that the 1992 Constitution is the fundamental law of the land until the needed reforms is the fundamental law of the land. Until needed reforms are realized, it is imperative on the part of every citizen of this country to recognize this and fulfill the rights and responsibilities therein in order to promote constitutionalism. NCC on this occasion wishes all Ghanaians a very happy Constitution Day, a very happy 30th anniversary of our Constitution. Long live constitutional democracy, long live the 1992 Constitution, long live Ghana. God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Thank you very much.